Today we're talking about vehicle extraction, to getting a person out of a car. If it ends up being where the guy's drunk or maybe just like, hey, I'm not going to get out, not really wanting to fight with us, but not complying to our orders to leave, we want to be able to get him out of the car safely. First things first, I'm not ever going to reach in through the car window and try to dive in for his keys or to go for the shifter or something else. If the car is still in drive and his foot's in the brake, no way I'm going into the car right away. If he has it in park, a little different story. What we're looking to do is hopefully the window's down enough that I can either open up the unlocked car door, or if it is locked, I can come in through the window and hit the unlock or just hit the vehicle latch from the outside to get to where the door's open. Once the door's open, my priority is, first of all, make sure he can't go for the keys, he can't go for the shifter. So when he's got his hands up on the steering wheel, what I'm looking to do is my hand here shooting in, grabbing out of the wrist for control. I want to make sure, again, he can't reach for the keys or reach for the shifter. My other hand here is coming in with a crossface. I'm using the outside of my forearm, hitting the jaw line to get his head turned. To get the angle for this right, I'm going to be kind of in this athletic stance as I come in. I'm coming in, hooking onto the wrist, turning the head. And then once I have this position in place, my partner's going to come in, take the keys out of the ignition, and undo the seatbelt if the guy's wearing a seatbelt. Once those two are in place, then we begin the process of extraction. From here, we got to get him to release the steering wheel, imagining he's got kind of either a death grip on the wheel, or he's just being uncooperative enough that he doesn't want to let go of the wheel. My hand here, my forearm is still doing the crossface to the jaw, still trying to keep his head turned and out of the way. My left hand in this case is coming in underneath this arm, finding his thumb to begin a peel process. So if I come over the top and I try to reach for the thumb, it's kind of a long twisted grip that I'm trying to get, and it's going to be difficult for me to find the thumb properly. By coming under, it's a much more comfortable grip. So as I'm here with this kind of crossface, and as I come through here and I peel the thumb, once I've got his hand starting to open, it should be pretty easy to peel it through the rest of the way. From here, the transition into the Wisconsin State Model Escort hold comes from here. I'll keep my thumb high as kind of a post as I rotate through and begin the grip to the wrist. So this transition from here is an open switch to here as I'm beginning the process of controlling the arm. So once we've got his hand removed from the steering wheel, now we want to start to try to pull him out. There's a couple different options for how we're going to pull him out, but to try to marry this up a little bit with Wisconsin State Model, what we're going to do is, as I'm pulling him off the steering wheel, I'm going to be coming in, grabbing just above his elbow here with kind of a pincer grip to his tricep area. I can maintain some control of his thumb until we get to about here, and I'll switch this up as I continue to pull. Now, there's a lot of techniques where guys will use this to kind of pin against the door, and as I start to push this against the door, the leverage that's created here, this kind of armbar effect, begins to make him lean forward and start to get out. The problem with this is, though, he's leaning forward towards the steering wheel, and I want him to start leaning out toward the exit of the car. So when I make this transition from here with the pincer grip, I release and I kind of roll this through, I want to give a pull to put his shoulder at the pillar, not his elbow. So as I get his shoulder to here, and now I start to press on his arm, you can see how his angle is starting to shift to the exit of the vehicle, instead of here, where they're starting to go toward the steering wheel. Once I've begun the process of starting to pull him out and his shoulders starting to get up, now it's going to be kind of up to him. And it's going to be dependent on what he does that dictates my next move. As I'm pulling him out, if he begins the process of standing, so where you're like this, he's coming out of the car and he begins to stand up, I'm going to drive his shoulder up into the corner of the car. I want to try to get to the wedge that's created here between the door and the front of the car. So as I drive him up and through, I can get him here to this door pin position. Once I've gotten him up here, my hand that had been the pincer grip on the elbow is coming right to the small of his back to keep him pressed forward. My left hand is going to release, grabbing the door and creating kind of a pinning effect. All right. From this door pin position, my partner, who had been on the other side or maybe here, is going to take over, pressing on the door for the leverage, freeing up my second hand then to begin the handcuffing process. He's already proven to us in here that he's not going to be cooperative. He's given enough cues to us that we want to detain him as we figure out what's going on. So even if he's under arrest, for our safety, we want to detain him. When my hand's free, I can begin the process of cuffing. If he has any weapons in his waistband or something else, with this door pin, I'm kind of limiting his access to his waistband until I can, again, get him in control with the handcuffs. All right, so again, we're at that fork in the road where he could stand, but there's going to be times where our momentum is going to make it so he falls, or his footing is going to get messed up and he's going to start to fall. So as I'm working against this A-pillar here, as I'm working him through, I start to see him starting to go down. I'm not going to try to lift him and get him into the door pin, although I prefer to have him in the door pin. I'm not going to try to change his angles up. As we're going through and he's starting to lower, this pincer grip is going to go up here more to the armpit. You can roll your hand even if you want to, but now you're going to start to switch him up and make him go down. As he goes, chase him and get down into like a knee on back position as you begin control the wrist, start pressing for handcuffing. So again, we're here, he's starting to go down. Instead of trying to lift him up, just continue by pressing him down to the ground, chase him as you go through, and finish up with the knee on back, knee right position. All right, so I'm beginning the process of trying to pull him out. We've shown a couple different ways of getting him either to a door pin or to the ground, but there's gonna be times where as we go through here and I'm beginning the process of pulling his arm out, he bends it back in. He's a strong guy. Maybe I don't have quite the leverage I thought I had, and his arm begins to bend. Once his arm begins to bend in, it's gonna be very difficult for me to start to straighten this back out, so I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow on this one. His arm bends in, I'm shooting this hand underneath, right under his armpit, and I'm finding the top of his hand to begin bending this in. I want to get his elbow tight to my chest into the proper come along position. Some guys will have their thumbs kind of wrapped in behind. You can oftentimes just kind of pinch the sides of his hand to get the fold in. I'm taking his knuckles towards his elbow in kind of a gooseneck wrist lock. When I have this position in place, for training purposes, I'm going to stop, let my partner make a fist, and I'll continue on here, but know that in the street, it's going to be bending the wrist. The pain compliance from this is going to be enough to begin the extraction process. I don't want to hurt my partners, so he makes his fist. From this fist, I've got him tight to the chest. I begin the process of pulling. Once we're here, I will then turn this grip and put a downward pressure as I pull him out of the car. All right, so we've done a couple different options for how to get them out using their arms and their shoulders as kind of leverage points, but sometimes we want to start to remove them by the head, okay? A couple of different ways we can do this. First one's going to be a chin strap grip. And extract them out head first. Remember, a rule of thumb, body always wants to follow the head. So if the head begins the process of leaving the car, the body's going to want to follow. So everything we've done to this point is going to be controlling wrists and using kind of a cross face this way. The difference now is going to be, instead of grabbing hands or arms, my left hand is going to be coming through with kind of a palm strike to his jaw, not to hit, but to get his head rotated. Once I got his head rotated through, my hand is going to focus on the chin like a chin strap. My second hand is going to come in behind it to get the same thing. So when I'm here and I come through, I'm making two hands right over the chin. I am not grabbing him by the throat. I'm not turning this into any kind of a chokehold. I'm controlling the chin right in the palms of my hand as I get him turned for here. Second point to this is going to be elbows are in to form like a cradle. The tighter my forearms are in together, the more I'm going to be supporting the sides of his head here. Since I'm pulling him up by his head, I want to be as cautious as I can. So as he come through and I get this grip, my elbows are in, now I begin the process of pulling. As I continue to pull, I'm going to drag him all the way through until he's in a seated position here on the side of the car. And then once he's in that seated position, I can go to knee right or turn him into kind of a handcuffing position. All right, so another way we can get him out leaning by the head is going to be using a baton. Now, we always try to advocate not having to go to tools unnecessarily. I would argue there's lots of ways to get him out of a car without needing a tool, but should the situation arise where you need to use a baton, this is one way to do it. As we're getting this grip on the bottom of the baton, try to grab as low as you can in this to make this lower portion as long as possible. Don't expand it to where it becomes too long and cumbersome to work in the car. Just keep it in the collapsed range here, maybe 3 knuckles on the baton here so that the pinky can kind of tuck under, but it gives you plenty of real estate to work with. I am then going to scoop underneath the jaw as I come through, and I'm placing the baton on the nerve bundle on the side of the neck. I am giving space between his throat and my fist as I do this. I'm not impeding the breathing, I'm not impeding the blood flow, I'm focusing on the nerve bundle to the side of the neck. So as this comes in, and I place this here, again leaving plenty of room for him to breathe with the throat, I'm coming palm down with my left hand across, grabbing the top of the baton here. So my grip looks like this, with his neck encased inside. So as I come through, I get this here. Now I begin the process of pulling against that nerve to lead him out of the car. As we do this, and as you talk to administrators, it's going to be kind of a shock to the system in a way where they're going to see this tool going around a person's throat and say, absolutely not. We have to remember as defensive tactics instructors that we have to verbalize in reports and verbalize to administration the purpose of these moves. And this is to place a solid object against a nerve bundle, no different than a pressure point would be, but we're using the baton to work that pressure point. So I'm coming through, plenty of space in his throat and the neck. I'm giving this baton handle as much length as I can, second hand coming in, and I'm pulling with this. I'm not chicken winging my elbows out. I don't want to risk this turning into a choke. It's going to be just a straight pull with the nerves on the side as we begin that extraction. All right, so next what we're going to do here is we've worked a lot with this crossface onto the head as far as to try to drive him away. A common reaction you're going to see from people is they want to turn and face the person that they're fighting or they're trying to resist. So as I'm trying to get Dave out of the car and I go to throw this, it's not going to be uncommon for him to want to try to pivot in his seat, turn to try to get his head back to me, but now get his legs up to where he can maybe kick me or give me some issues with his legs. So as I begin the process of that crossface, he starts to pivot in the seat, he gives me this knee. Now, my left hand is going to be scooping in behind the knee. So when we're in here and we're looking to try to drag the guy out, it's important for us to try to be by the knee with this grip through. And as I pull, his foot's kind of in my armpit. I've got some good leverage here. If I need to increase my leverage, my hand go to the side of the car as I continue to pull. I can be grabbing onto my vest for a tighter grip as well. Always conscious of additional knee strikes or kicks from this leg and conscious where his hands could come from. So it's here, grabbing, beginning to pull. Now, we may end up with an issue where he frames himself up. So he posts against the car here, he's posted against the steering wheel, and I'm trying to pull and I'm not gaining any ground because of this frame. What I'll do then is I'll slide here with my hand now switching to his knee. The bony part of my forearm, again, like a pressure point to his Achilles. As I go up, I'll start to get a pain compliance from him. Once I have the pain compliance, I can then continue on dragging him out. So this is an upward roll, bony part of the forearm to the Achilles, thinking of it as a pressure point. As his back arches, as he feels the pain, continue with the extraction through until his butt hits the ground, knee ride, go to handcuffing, whatever control options you have from that point.